There's something cool about Vectric that I want to share because it's too cool not to know about. Okay, so here I have a very simple part. It's a 1/2 inch thick right here, and down here it's a 1/4 inch thick. And you can see that in the lower right hand corner as I'm mousing over, it's showing you what the thicknesses are. And right now the stock thickness is 0.825. That's what I started with, right? If you come back 6 months later, and let's just say that my stock is 3/4 of an inch thick. When I recalculate all this, if I go and preview all toolpaths, that part is still a 1/2 inch thick, and this part is still a 1/4 inch thick. And if you've done toolpathing, you know that doesn't happen automatically normally, and here's why. In the planing cut, which is the cut that creates that 1/2 inch depth, or the 1/2 inch thickness rather, I'm using a formula, T minus 0.5. So if I mouse over it, you can see that it's telling me that that part right there, I'm going to be taking away a 1/4 inch, right? So if I hit equals and just made it a hard number, it would just take away a 1/4 inch. It would work exactly the same, right, as it did with the formula. But the problem is if I go back in and change my sheet to say 0.825, which is what my current sheet is that I was working with, because that's a hard number in there, when I preview all toolpaths, it's going to change the value. Look at this crazy thing here. The thickness is 0.575, which is not what I wanted. So I would have to go in and edit this, to T minus 0.5 equals, right? And then I could calculate, and then I could reset the preview and then preview all toolpaths, and now it's working. So if you have 6 different toolpaths, you'd have to edit 6 different toolpaths. So don't do that. Instead of doing that, put it in as a formula, T minus 0.5, and just leave it. If you mouse over it, it'll tell you what the value is going to be, 0.325, right? But don't hit equal, just leave it as a formula. So now when I change my sheet again to something else, to something else, let's make it 3/4 again. When it recalculates, and then I preview all toolpaths, boom, it's exactly the right thickness every time. It automatically changes all the toolpaths to the new sheet thickness. This is such a cool thing when you have toolpaths that you go back and use, 6 months or half year later, 6 months or a half year, either one. And you just change one value and everything else takes care of itself. Huge time saver. And it also limits the opportunity for error. And if there's an opportunity for error, there's going to be an error. Try it out.